Welcome to Week 2 of the Procurement Price Analysis course. This week's video will cover the acquisition team's role in market research. The acquisition team should be identified as early in the acquisition process as possible. The team's success is dependent on the team's multi-organizational as well as cross-functional diversity. The team's ability to develop a collaborative relationship will aid greatly in determining who is the supporting or lead role during the process. Effective and efficient communication aid in the knowledge-sharing process and provide information necessary to make sound business decisions. All members of the acquisition team should attend the source selection kickoff meeting where they will be instructed by the contracting officer on the evaluation process and the standards of ethical conduct. The technical experts generally fill the position of the project or program managers, or PMs. They are the individuals who manage a system acquisition program. They are generally tasked with developing an acquisition strategy, promoting full and open competition, and sustaining effective competition. The PM in the government duties include developing requirements documents, including specifications and statements of work, staffing the documentation for the required approvals, estimating and budgeting for the project, and coordinating project planning with the contracting officer. Obviously, this list of tasks is not exhaustive. Depending on the magnitude and scope of the project, the PM would obviously have increased or decreased responsibilities. We stated that the PM had numerous responsibilities, which in turn would imply that the PM has some limited authorities. The contracting officer, however, has the authority to bind the government legally by signing a contract. The contracting officer is the only person with the authority to enter into, administer, and terminate contracts and to make determinations and findings. The CO's role, like the rest of the acquisition team, is to secure supplies and services from sources at a fair and reasonable price to the government. Some agencies or departments have a cost or price analyst team available to assist the acquisition team. When available, these individuals will work with the PM to develop the IGCE, perform price or cost analysis or cost realism analysis. They may also develop the pre-negotiation memorandum and are oftentimes present during the negotiations. The contract specialists are important to the acquisition team because they assemble, analyze, and correlate data to perform analysis required by regulation and best practices. They generally have extensive knowledge of the project and work as an engaged business advisor to the acquisition team. They can aid the contracting officer in making a fair and reasonable determination by presenting all the data necessary to make a sound business decision. In the not-too-distant past, contractors were considered as an opponent and not a team member. Oftentimes, the government employees would pit one contractor against another in the name of the lowest price. But the times have changed. Both the industry and the government recognize the need to build healthy relationships where conversations can be held in confidence, thereby establishing trust. The government has realized that industry holds the secrets to the market and best business practices, resulting in substantial savings of resources. The contract negotiator. The contract negotiator is often trained in negotiating with industry. They negotiate the price the government is willing to pay a responsible contractor. They can negotiate the type and necessary length of the contract, including option periods and the price to be paid for supplies or services during these option periods. One key role in the acquisition team is general counsel or the legal office. The legal team can provide you with the expertise needed to ensure your contract is legally binding. They provide guidance. The contracting officer, however, has the ultimate authority. So now that we have identified the team members, let's talk about market research. FAR Part 10 prescribes the policies and procedures for conducting market research. Agencies must ensure that legitimate needs are identified and trade-offs evaluated to acquire items that meet those needs, conduct market research, and use the results to make informed decisions. Market research is defined in FAR Part 2 as the act of collecting and analyzing information about capabilities within the market to satisfy agency needs. Agencies must conduct market research before developing new requirements documents for an acquisition, before soliciting offers for acquisitions with an estimated value in excess of the simplified acquisition threshold, before soliciting offers for acquisitions with an estimated value less than the simplified acquisition threshold when adequate information is not available and the circumstances justify the cost, before soliciting offers for acquisitions that could lead to bundling, before awarding a task or delivery order under an IDIQ contract, and on an ongoing basis to take advantage of commercially available market research methods in order to effectively identify the capabilities of small businesses and new entrants into federal contracting. Acquisition teams use market research to determine if sources capable of satisfying the acquisition's needs exist in the market. Market research helps identify commercial items suitable for the agency's needs if they're available. If commercial items are available, sometimes they need simply be modified to meet the agency's requirement. Market research provides the acquisition team with knowledge about small business concerns that may be capable of performing all or some of the requirement. Each government agency and department has small business goals. Market research provides the opportunity to identify contracts that can help meet these goals. Market research should start with a review of FAR Part 8, Required Sources of Supplies and Services. FAR Part 8 deals with the acquisition of supplies and services from or through government sources. FAR Part 8 provides the list of required sources and the priority order for conducting market research. In accordance with FAR Part 8, all information technology acquisition shall comply with capital planning and investment control requirements as set forth in 40 U.S.C. and OMB Circular A-130. Unless an exception applies, agencies are required to satisfy requirements for supplies and services from or through the sources and publications as shown on this slide. Sources other than those listed on this slide may be used as prescribed in 41 CFR and in an unusual or compelling urgency as prescribed in FAR. The statutory obligation for government agencies to satisfy their requirements for supplies or services available from the Committee for Purchase from People Who Are Blind or Severely Disabled also applies when contractors purchase the supplies or services for government use.